Stephen King. Plot summary. Published in 1979, The Dead Zone is a psychological thriller that blends elements of supernatural horror, political drama, and ethical dilemmas. Unlike King's more traditional horror novels, this story focuses on fate, free will, and the burden of foreknowledge. The novel follows Johnny Smith, an ordinary man who falls into a coma for nearly 5 years after a devastating car accident. When he awakens, he discovers he has a mysterious ability. He can see glimpses of the future when he touches people or objects. However, this gift comes with severe emotional and moral consequences. As Johnny struggles to rebuild his life, he becomes entangled in a series of increasingly dangerous situations, culminating in a moral crisis that forces him to question the nature of destiny and personal responsibility. Key themes and story elements. 1. Johnny Smith, a life changed by fate. Johnny Smith is introduced as a kind, intelligent, and humble young teacher living a simple life in Castle Rock, Maine. He is in love with Sarah Bracknell, and they have a promising future together. However, a night at the county fair changes everything. After a brief lucky streak at a Wheel of Fortune game, Johnny suffers a traumatic brain injury in a car accident. He falls into a coma that lasts nearly 5 years, leaving his loved ones believing he will never wake up. When he finally regains consciousness, he discovers that his life has completely changed. His mother, Vera, has become an obsessive religious fanatic, believing Johnny's survival is part of a divine plan. His girlfriend, Sarah, has moved on and married someone else, though she still cares for Johnny deeply. His once promising future has been stolen by fate, leaving him feeling like an outsider in the world he has returned to. 2. The Awakening, the power of second sight. Shortly after waking up, Johnny experiences his first visions. When he touches a nurse's hand, he sees a vision of her house burning down, allowing her to take action and prevent the disaster. His doctor, Dr. Sam Wazak, initially believes that Johnny's brain injury may have unlocked some hidden potential. However, as Johnny's visions become more powerful and accurate, it becomes clear that his ability is more than just a medical anomaly. It is a true supernatural gift. Despite his abilities, Johnny feels trapped in a world that fears and misunderstands him. Some people revere him as a prophet, while others see him as a freak or a fraud. 3. The burden of knowing the future. Johnny's abilities allow him to see hidden truths and upcoming tragedies, but he soon realizes that knowing the future is more of a curse than a blessing. His visions range from small personal revelations, helping a journalist find lost keys, to life-altering premonitions, preventing a tragic accident. However, each vision takes an emotional toll, and Johnny begins to feel increasingly isolated. One of his most famous and haunting predictions occurs when he shakes hands with a young boy and sees that the child will drown in a skating accident. Johnny's warning saves the boy's life, but instead of gratitude, he is met with fear and paranoia. The more Johnny helps people, the more he realizes that people fear the truth, even when it saves them. 4. The Dead Zone, limits of the mind. Through medical testing, Johnny learns that his visions are not always complete. Some parts of the future are missing, hidden in what he calls the dead zone of his mind. This blind spot raises an important philosophical question. Is the future fixed, or can it be changed? Johnny begins to suspect that his gift does not show absolute destiny, but rather possibilities, which means he may have the power to alter events before they happen. 5. The Castle Rock Killer, justice versus vigilantism. Johnny's abilities soon draw the attention of law enforcement. A local sheriff, George Bannerman, approaches Johnny for help in solving a series of brutal murders in the town of Castle Rock. By touching an item from the crime scene, Johnny is able to identify the killer, a respected local citizen named Frank Dodd, who has been living a double life as a serial murderer. This moment raises a major ethical dilemma. Does having knowledge of a crime justify taking action outside the law? If Johnny can see evil before it happens, is he responsible for stopping it? This event is a turning point in Johnny's life, as it shows him that his abilities have the potential to be a force for justice, but also a source of great danger. 6. Greg Stilson, A Vision of Doom. The most significant and terrifying part of Johnny's journey begins when he crosses paths with Greg Stilson, a rising politician with an undeniable charisma and a sinister agenda. Stilson is a populist, a man who presents himself as a man of the people, while secretly harboring deeply violent and authoritarian ambitions. His rallies are filled with hatred and manipulation, but the public sees him as a fresh new leader. When Johnny shakes Stillson's hand, he experiences his most horrifying vision yet. Stillson as the future president of the United States, launching a catastrophic nuclear war that destroys millions of lives. This revelation forces Johnny to confront his ultimate moral dilemma. If you know someone will cause unimaginable destruction, do you have a duty to stop them? Can a single act of violence prevent greater suffering? Is it ever justified to commit an immoral act for the greater good? This final vision sets Johnny on a dangerous path that will define his fate. Themes and philosophical questions. 1. Fate versus free will. Throughout the novel, Johnny grapples with the nature of destiny. If he sees a disaster in the future, does that mean it is inevitable? Or does his ability exist precisely so that he can change things? King presents both sides of the debate, leaving it to the reader to decide whether the future is something fixed or flexible. 2. The cost of knowledge. Johnny's psychic gift is both a blessing and a curse. While he can prevent tragedies, his knowledge isolates him from others. Every prediction brings pain and suffering, forcing him to carry the weight of the world's potential futures. King suggests that sometimes, ignorance is bliss, and that knowing too much can be a burden too heavy to bear. 3. Political corruption and power. Greg Stillson is one of King's most chilling villains because he is not a supernatural monster, but a real-world embodiment of political corruption. His rise to power feels eerily plausible, making The Dead Zone a terrifyingly relevant political thriller. King asks the question, what happens when a truly dangerous man gains unchecked power? Legacy and impact of The Dead Zone. The Dead Zone is one of Stephen King's most critically acclaimed novels, praised for its psychological depth, political themes, and emotional storytelling. Unlike many of King's horror novels, this book focuses on real-world fears, political tyranny, the burden of foreknowledge, and the consequences of fate. The novel was adapted into a 1983 film starring Christopher Walken and later a TV series, 2002 to 2007, proving its lasting impact. Ultimately, The Dead Zone is not just about psychic visions. It is about the choices we make, the futures we shape, and the price of knowing too much.